Hi my friend, in this video we're going to be arranging a throwback tech house song inspired by Mr. Bell and Wezol's song, It's Not Right, But It's Okay. And we're going to find out if we can do this in under 30 minutes by using the 80-20 rule of tech house song arrangement and structuring. What you're listening to right now is the song that we'll be working on, and what you're looking at right now is the Ableton project file that we'll be working on. In particular, I'm going to show you how I was able to create a loop, so build up the song vertically, and then stretch that out horizontally very quickly into a fully finished arranged track. It's super easy once you get the hang of it. I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks, so make sure you stick around to the end of the video as well, because I can do a full overview of the 80-20 rule for music structuring, so you can apply this to your own music super quickly as well. Because all in all, once I've created that vertical loop, as I like to call it, really only took about 30 minutes to stretch this out into a completely finished song. And this whole thing, including the creation of the loop and mixing and mastering and arranging, all that, only took about 6 hours of my time to complete. And if you would like help finishing songs faster, just like this, I've made you a free bundle of templates, samples, and special bonuses that I use to completely finish a song like this every single week. Just visit the link that's on screen now or in the description to grab the ultimate song finishing toolkit for free. And if you want to take things to the next level and really dive into this project, you can also find a link to this video's project files in the description as well. But with that said, let's jump into this. All right. So when it comes to the arrangement, there's a bunch of tips I'm going to want to dump on you right here. So first things first, one of the best things you could do is make sure you throw the track as usual that you want to reference into the project file. So I mentioned every time as I'm working through these things, but with arrangement, it's super important as well. So you can see here, we have the Mr. Bell and Wezol song, It's Not Right, It's Okay, in the track here. And I have it turned off and set the S key on my keyboard so it solos. So good. So it solos the reference track, so you can flick between what you're working on and the reference track really quickly. It helps while building up the song vertically, but it's also really helpful when it comes to arranging your track. And actually, one of the first things that I do when I'm working on any one of these tunes is obviously I put this, like the reference track in here. And then what I actually do is I build out what I call as an arrangement track here. So I can kind of map out all the moments in the main song that we're going to be referencing. So basically, all this is a MIDI clip or a MIDI track. And I have all these dummy MIDI clips, dummy in the terms of like there's no actual MIDI information in them, they're not triggering any sounds. Just using it so I can like color code these little blocks and move them around while I'm trying to figuring out the tune. So we have section for intro, when the sub comes in. In this particular song, it's using like a sample where they're using a verse and kind of chorus dynamic. So there's kind of verses versus drops. Then there's the breaks. There's usually that moment where, you know, things drop out to add a little tension and then a little release. So drops, and then like there's usually a build down and an outro. So I'll go through very first thing, drop the song in here, and then build up the arrangement. And this is helpful so that while you're building up the song, like say if you're starting on the drums, you might want to set like your loop marker over here and focus on flicking back and forth between what you have and the reference while you're building up the intro. Then once you have the drums all set up, because you've been building them in a nice area where there's only drums, you can then move the kind of loop marker over to here where there's bass, and then you can work on getting the bass down. Then you can move the loop marker over here. You know that there's going to be like synth and vocals. You jump over here. And now as you're building out your synths and your vocals, you can be making it against the reference track in the right area. So that's super helpful as you're building it out. But then it also becomes super helpful as you start to actually take what you've been building, like say you've been building like a 16 bar or 8 bar loop, you can now easily kind of extend it by following this arrangement track and flicking back and forth between the reference to hear what needs to be added or taken away for those individual sections. So here's a little concept that we're going to go over next. These larger chunks, intro, sub, verse, break, drops, these are things that I like to call macro transitions. So they're the larger changes that are happening throughout the song. When you listen to the intro and then you listen to the sub, there's a pretty clear change that's happening. When you listen to the sub and then you listen to the drop, it's a larger change is happening. So these are larger changes happening throughout the song where the listener can definitely tell what's going on. In traditional songwriting, this might be a macro transition would be the verse and then going into, say, the chorus. So larger changes that happen. These are usually going to be 16 bars, like you can see here, or 32 bars, like you can see here. They're usually in larger denominations of phrases or anything. I'm not sure you fully say that. Then what you have is, and that's why the arrangement track's really good for mapping of those macro transitions. Then what you have is things like micro transitions. So micro transitions are the smaller little changes that are happening throughout the song to make it sound interesting and dynamic and have things moving over time. So a good look at that might be this. So we're gonna have 8 bars of just this main synth. Then the next 8 bars, this is going to get introduced here. That would be a micro transition. It's not like a full change in the section, but a small change is happening. Then another one here. Little response. These are smaller changes happening every 8 bars. It could be an element being added, an element being taken away. Another good example of that is like this kind of kick drop here. So let's have a look at this. This is a really good version of micro transition. So full kick gets dropped a bit and then removed, boom, and then the kick comes back. So it's a small way to create a micro transition, a small little change in energy. Listen. So then when the next section comes in, when the kick comes back, it feels impactful and interesting and kind of just changes. It's not going into a full break. Like this would be a macro transition, micro. And this is a macro transition, larger, more obvious changes happening. And then in addition to that, I want to go down to here. I usually like to have something like this, like an effects group where it's just like, one of the first ones I'll usually do is like, I'll add in a bunch of these, reverse crashes into crashes. So just have a listen. So this is a cool way that you can have like a crash on like new sections. You can have reverse crashes going into crashes to make them even more impactful. You can have just reverse crashes on their own like this. You're gonna have a look here and listen to this. Listen to the swell. Very subtle stuff, but it kind of like lets the ear know that like a change is about to happen, and it adds some interest too, like just having these like little sweeps, laser sounds, those kind of things. You can have these every like 8-16 bars or so. Keeps things interesting and also gives clues to the listener that things are about to change, new elements going to be added, taken away, those kind of things. This is another really good example, another good look at the micro transitions. So with that said, normally I do a like full run through of the track, but I kind of am getting bored of doing that in the last little bit. So this one, I just wanted to give a bunch of like really good tips for how you can arrange your tracks. So I definitely would recommend kind of building things out vertically. Then once you have things built out vertically, then you can use the arrangement tracks that you have here to kind of flesh the song out in a really, really quick way. And then you can easily flick between what you're working on and the reference track to be like, okay, in the first half of the sub, for example, there's no like synth. Then in the second half, they bring that in. So if we listen back to the reference, same thing. Nothing on the first half, second half, the synth comes in. So you can use that to come up with, like, follow along. Someone who's already done it before, professional arrangement. And then you can make changes over time. So that would be kind of maybe the last thing I want to go over with this, because if you can have a look here, this is the arrangement of this tune, but then I decided that I wanted something different here. So I added like this little pause gap. So this isn't in the original tune. This is like my own idea, and that's why I really like this, because you can follow the arrangement of a song that's already done it before, and then you can start coming up with your own original ideas as a, like, taking that as a jumping off point, and then changing things up completely if you want to. But at least you have a starting point so you can really quickly build out an arrangement and get to that kind of finished song stage. So let's have a listen to this, and I want to put the vocals on for it too. So sick. So you can see the kick has the load removed for the first little bit. Then we're going to drop the energy further by removing it. Very few drums. with this like rising sound. Micro transition, we're gonna pull out of everything. And then I like this little extra drop. So that little pause wasn't in the original, but I really liked it. And then also, usually the vocals come in the original tune, but I decided I wanted to slowly fade them in like that. So there's a bit of an instrumental drop. But yeah, that's a pretty good look at what you can do here. If you want a look at all the little tiny details, there is a link in the description to the project files if you want to see all the little micro transitions, and if you want to kind of grab these little templates and these little sounds and use it in your own project files, definitely you're welcome to do that. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good look at this one. So before we jump into the 80-20 rule, full recap of what we did here so you can apply this to your arrangements and start really finishing stuff fast, I do want to take a moment to mention that this video is also sponsored by our good friends over at Rocket Powered Sound. In particular, the drums that you're listening to, like the kick, which is one of the most fundamental sounds for the drums, as well as claps, some snares, I think even some hi-hats as well might even be used from pretty badass sample pack that they have called the Ultimate Sample Pack. There's over 1,000 sounds in that bad boy, and it makes it really, really easy to find some usable stuff that you can drop into your tracks and move on really quickly. If you want to grab that, there'll be a link on screen now and in the description. You can get 30% off as long as you use the Ultimate Best Friends code. Definitely take a look at that. And thanks again to Rocket Powered Sound for sponsoring this. And yeah, let's jump into the 80-20 rule now. Hi, my friend, Matt for Best Friends Club here. And if you've been paying attention, then you've probably figured out what the 80-20 rule is when it comes to arranging or structuring your songs. Now, the goal here is to get 80% of the result with only 20% of the time, energy, and effort. And because the first key to the 80-20 rule of arrangement is to use a reference track, we're making sure that we're effortlessly hitting 80% of a track that's been professionally arranged. In particular, we use that reference track to focus on the bigger macro transitions so that we can arrange our songs horizontally very quickly. However, we do need to make sure that we follow the 3-step process by first choosing the reference track and then following it to build out our loop vertically. This way that when we start to build things out horizontally, we have plenty of layers to work with when we're arranging. The second key is to create an arrangement track with empty MIDI clips, so we have a visual guide that we can quickly glance at to make fast and proven song finishing decisions. The third and final key is to quickly and easily make sure your songs stay interesting over time and have a fantastic flow by saving a library of templates, effects, and other sounds that can be used as micro transitions. If you'd like to get a head start by downloading all the racks, templates, and all the files that you've seen me use in the Ableton project file for this video, or if you'd just like to take a closer look at any of the techniques or tracks you saw me work on in this video at your own pace, you can find a link to this video's project files on screen now and at the second link that's in the YouTube description. I'm recreating a different song from the Beatport top charts every single week and making the project files available to anyone who wants them. You'll also get access to a private Discord where you can ask me and the community questions, as well as share tracks for feedback. If you or your music are not quite ready for a shot in the arm like that, I've also made you a completely free bundle of templates, samples, and special bonuses that have helped me figure out how to completely finish one new song each and every single week. And you can grab that free Ultimate Song Finishing Toolkit by visiting the first link that's in the YouTube description here. However, if you just feel like staying on YouTube for now, that's totally fine. Save that link for later and check out this playlist filled with videos just like this one where I arrange and structure songs from the Beatport top charts. Or if you really want to take what you've learned in this video to the next level, then check out this video right here.